Good morning, my friends. This is your host, the Comic Buddha. Today's episode, I'm actually going to be going over some of the new books from last week that I've been reading, and I also have not gotten quite to just yet. I'm not going to go over too much, only because we're getting close to Wednesday for new comic books, so we'll kind of go over those when the time is right, when I get to that at that point. The other thing that I'd like to do is kind of show some of the trade paperbacks and hardcovers that I'm also currently trying to go through, and then go over just a few of the back issues that I'm currently reading also. Whenever I can find the time to do any of this, it's kind of hard, but you know, we all pull through. So today's first issue is actually going to be Deadpool versus Punisher. This is actually issue number 3, and it's been an actually very good series so far. My biggest thing with it is just the banter between Deadpool and Frank Castle. You just can't go wrong with it, you know? I mean, Deadpool's trying to be funny, Frank is trying to be serious. It's all in all been a very fun book so far. And, unfortunately, there's only 2 more issues left, but it's been great. So, the next issue is actually Star Wars number 31. So far, again, this has been a very good series, and they are actually going through the Screaming Citadel right now. So, there was a first issue, one-shot for that, and this is actually continuing in the Star Wars book, and then also in Dr. Aphra. So, it's interesting so far. We'll see how that kind of continues on. Issue number 3 is the actual Punisher. This is issue number 12, and this is ending the first story arc. And for being a fan as long as I have with the Punisher, it's nice to see him kind of going back to his roots on things, and I can't complain. Like, he's had a lot of writers. He's had to go through quite a bit of just not being continuously written well, I guess you can say. I know everybody loves the Garth Ennis run, which it's great. I love it. But, there's sometimes you just need to go back to good old classic Frank, and so far, so good. Can't complain. Issue number 5, I guess, is Luke Cage number 1. This just actually came out last week. Again, it was pretty good read. I'm not quite sure what I expected from it, but it's a good starter book. I know because of Legacy and Generations, it's probably only going to be 5 or 6 issues would be my guess, but yeah, again, it's not too bad. We'll see what happens. Even with the Iron Fist book, that's another one that I'm currently getting to, and it's a pretty decent run so far with the way that that's going through. Number 6, Daredevil number 20, going back to the red suit. This one I have not read yet. This is next up, so we'll go over quickly the last couple. Animosity number 7, The Mighty Thor number 19, Superman Powerless number 23, Batman number 23, and finally Green Arrow number 23. So all of these last books I have not quite gotten to yet. Hopefully I will finish that out before Wednesday and, kind of get caught up with that. We'll see what happens. All right. So next up is the hardcovers and graphic novels that I am either currently going to start or are in the middle of currently. The first one is Lock and Key, the Master Edition, number 1. I've gotten about probably halfway through the book so far, and tremendous. great read. I wish I would have known about it earlier. That's definitely not one of those things that I did, but I'm glad I picked up the other ones. So, again, definitely so far so good. All right, next up is Master of Kung Fu, Omnibus, #1. This one, again, I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through, and there is a total of 3 of these. #4, to round out the series of the Omnibus, should be, I think it's either September or October is when the 4th one comes out, and that should finish up that line of books. The Master of Kung Fu was never really on my radar, but it was one of those books that when I first kind of got introduced to comics, way back when I was really, really young, my brothers actually had the original Star Wars series, and also I've noticed a couple of Master of Kung Fu. But again, it was never anything that was really on my radar. So, but you know, I picked it up just just for curiosity's sake to see how it actually was, and you know, it's a really good read. It's very different than what Iron Fist would be, but it's a nice complement to it, and you know, the character of Shang-Chi is definitely worthwhile to read. So, all right, the last book that I'm currently reading is Batman and the Outsiders. This is volume 1. I'm not sure exactly how to explain this, but it's a fun read so far. It's kind of interesting to see how Batman is kind of, I don't want to say necessarily taken out of his element, but it's kind of funny the way that he reacts, and almost like fatherly to the other characters in here, and him just leaving the Justice League like that. It seems kind of Batman, you know, definitely something that he would do. But when he picks up the other characters, you know, it's fun. It's one of those things, like I said, again, this is from, I believe, the 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And it was never anything that I read, never anything that I necessarily wanted to read. It was kind of one of those pickups on a whim. And yeah, so far so good. I can't complain. So whenever I do get finished up with the other ones, I currently have been reading, as you saw earlier, The Mighty Thor. I kind of came in late on it, and Thor has never been one of those characters that have been strong for me to read. I did pick up, I want to say, when it was still Journey into Mystery, but then they kind of moved it over to the regular Thor back in the 400s, I believe, is what I picked up. So I think it was like $3.99 through maybe like 403 or something along those lines. So again, it's I love the character, but it's never been one of those things that has struck me that much. So when I did find out about the Mighty Thor, and you know, for Jane Foster being turned into Thor, or Lady Thor, however you want to put it, it's actually been a very good read, and I'm thoroughly pleased with the way that Jason Aaron has been writing this book. So that being said, I got the trade paperback to the first 5 issues, so I will get going on that here shortly, and hopefully be caught up completely. The only issue that I am missing is number 6, so I guess I'll get that eventually and continue on with that. So, but yeah, like I said, it's been an awesome read so far, and glad I got into it. All right, so the last little bit here are the back issues. Back issues I tend to get quite a few of, and don't really do a whole lot of reading with it. it's hard when you have all these trade paperbacks and hardcovers to read, and then you have the new books coming in. So whenever I can, I definitely try to get them all in order and, kind of go through a few here and there. We'll see what the next one will be. This might be a little while before I go back to the what I'm reading in back issues, but as of currently, it is the 4-issue limited series of The Punisher Year 1. And each of these covers are tremendous. I mean, it's ridiculous the work of art that these are. And this is issue number 3. And issue number 4. So basically, this just takes place at the point in time where Frank Castle and his family have officially gone into the park and are playing. So it's, basically right before the main event happens, to where his family is killed. And it's kind of, I've only gone through the first issue, so I'm still working on number 2, but it's kind of seen through the eyes of not necessarily Frank. I mean, he is there, and they kind of go through it, but it's also through sort of like the detectives, and then also through any of the news people that are there. So it's a different different way of seeing how this whole story unfolded. But being a Punisher fan, it definitely is it's a good read. I definitely cannot complain about that. That's for certain. So other than that, I guess that's it for the first video. So again, I'll kind of go through different things that I'm reading as of currently. A lot of it, I'm sure, is going to be slimmed down once they start to change over to Legacy, and a lot of these series seem to be, I'm assuming, going to be limited series or dying off pretty soon, so we'll see what happens. But other than that, if I get any other new books or new hardcovers or trade paperbacks in, I will try to post those as I can. But yeah, I guess other than that, that's it for now. I'll kind of maybe in later videos go over some of the collection that I have and different, different books that I currently have. You can kind of see a little bit in the background there of current stuff that I have, and the stacks, short boxes and long boxes back there. So quite a bit of stuff I still have to go through. Got 11 short boxes that you don't see that I still have to go through too. It's a work. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely something that is worthwhile to me, at least. And we'll keep on trucking with it. I guess if I don't get around to it now, I'll get around to doing what I can when I retire. But that'll be a little while before that happens. So, but anyway, so yeah, that's it for me for today. So I will, again, like I said before, try to post as much as I can, at least once a week, and then we'll kind of go on from there and see what happens, time permitting, of course. And I guess that is it for today. Thank you again for watching, and if you do like what you see, and again, continuing on with our journey into comics, please hit that like button down there, or there, wherever that it is. And I will talk with you all again soon. Thank you again for watching, and please be good to yourself, and peace through comics.